What's this? Cancel Netflix? What's that about? Cuties.
It's disgusting. What is that? What am I looking at?
You're under arrest.
Netflix is promoting pedophilia?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Or are they? Yes, Netflix has stirred up quite a bit of controversy with its new release, Cuties. An independent film about 11-year-olds dressing scantily and joining a dance competition where they basically reenact the song WAP to a disapproving Ben Shapiro. But you know, it's a French film and they're all dirty sex perverts. Because of Netflix's insane initial marketing of the film,
Amy 11 becomes fascinated with a twerking dance crew.
outrage has come, accusing Netflix of promoting pedophilia. Defenders of the film and its writer/director have lashed back, claiming that the film is actually criticizing the sexualization of young girls in our society. See, it's like Fight Club. You're supposed to realize what the characters are doing in the movie is actually bad, and not something to emulate. Or so the apologists claim. So which is it? A pedophile's wet dream, or an artsy-fartsy big-brain critique of the sexualization of young women in our society? First, let me give you a quick synopsis of the plot. Amy is an 11-year-old Senegalese girl who's just moved to some place in France. Her family follows some version of Islam that makes the women cover themselves with these scarfy scarves and allows Amy's dad to marry a second wifey wife.
Leave some for us, jackass!
Something Amy's mom is obviously not happy about. Yay! Fundamentalist Islam! Amy's father places his second wife's importance above his first wife's and Amy's, and his upcoming marriage overshadows all the events in the film. As does Amy's quest for womanhood as she goes through puberty. Look, the dress with the flowers on it is bleeding. What could that possibly mean? Meanwhile, Amy keeps seeing the Cutie Squad around town, a group of rebellious classmates who basically act like huge a-holes to everyone around them, including each other, and they also dress like skanks. Amy, coming from a repressive religious background, thinks they look très cool, and after some hiccups, befriends them. Amy then stumbles down a spiral of self-destruction and alienation where she manages to piss off everyone. Her family, her friends, her entire school, and then she almost kills a kid. Yay, womanhood. This culminates with the widely popularized dance sequence, which in the middle of, for some reason, Amy hears what I can only assume is some sort of Senegalese spiritual folk song, sung by a ghost, and this causes Amy to cry, because maybe ghosts are scary, and she realizes what a screw-up she's become and runs home to Mommy, who forgives her instantly. Then Amy is magically an okay kid again, and that's it. The movie's over. So we return to the more pertinent question. Is Cuties pedo bait, or really a critique of the sexualization of young women in our society? Or French society, I guess. Well, the gratuitous pans and zoom-ins of 11-year-old girls in very scantily clad outfits gyrating their body
This isn't right!
will definitely provide, excitement to the pedo crowd and cause a disapproving Chris Hansen to appear in a lot of doorways. However, was that the film's intention? Or is the movie actually a social commentary against what it's portraying? No. No, it's not. And if it was trying to be, it failed. Now, this may be shocking to you, but if a movie is supposed to be about how society is promoting the sexualization of young girls, then it requires the movie show how society is promoting sexualization of young girls. But it doesn't. In fact, it does the opposite. Every single authority figure in the movie that would represent some aspect of societal authority is completely against these young girls sexualizing themselves. Her mom, her religion, her teacher, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, every adult they encounter or interact with is incredibly disturbed by the girls sexualizing themselves. In the final scene of the movie, during their big dance number, at first the crowd is clapping and cheering, but after people watch them dance, some start booing. The judges look concerned and confused. People in the audience look disgusted and horrified. The only exception to this is the one super obvious creepy pedo guy that they intentionally make look like a creepy, terrible weirdo that is obviously not symbolic of society as a whole. The only time we see people approve of the girl's overt sexualization is shown in a single scene, where they post a provocative dance on social media and get a bunch of likes from their classmates. That's it. But generally, when people say society, they don't mean the dumb, screwed up crap that kids do. I mean, there's a reason society doesn't grant children the same rights and responsibilities as adults. And even so, her fellow classmates, even the cutie squad, turn on Amy when she takes the sexuality too far. So how can this possibly function as a movie about how society is sexualizing young girls when every aspect of society, shown in the movie, doesn't want the girls to act sexual? Well, it can't.
Oh, no,
I hear you say.
It doesn't matter if society explicitly tells the girls not to be sexual. What matters is that society inundates these young girls with images of sexually provocative women on TV, film, and social media, and thus the girls are simply emulating these images of women they see being praised.
Well, that could be true, but the problem is, that's not shown in the movie either. A story about a young girl who's going through puberty while transitioning from a very traditionally repressive Islamic culture to a more openly sexually free French culture, where she is, for the first time, blasted with all these images of sexualized women who are being celebrated and popularized by everyone. And so, she, also wanting to be celebrated, emulates that behavior, but sadly doesn't understand why everyone gets mad at her for doing that. Could be a very interesting movie, with very poignant themes about how confusing it is for children. But sadly, none of that's actually in the film. See, Cuties is not a social critique about society pushing sexualization on children, nor was it designed to be. That was just some crap Netflix made up after the fact to cover their massive screw-up. Nope, Cuties is a movie about rebelling from society. Let me break it down for you by showing you the step-by-step of how it plays out in the movie. First scene, Amy being preached at that women are hoes.
Let's kill the whole.
A setting, authority in her life is repressive fundamental Islam, lack of freedom. I mean, if you think about it, Islam literally means submission. Amy is bored by this crap and steals some beads, so already an act of rebellion. Amy finds Angelica, leader of the cutie clique, dancing and being happy while doing laundry. Contrast this to the previous scene. Amy is bored to death, while Angelica's having fun despite doing something mundane and boring like laundry. It's this fun and excitement that first attracts Amy to the cutie squad. And you know, because also she's probably never seen a woman dance and not dress in a sack. Angelica's joy is then compared to Amy's mom crying and slapping herself in the next scene, when she finds out her husband has taken a second wife. So in case it wasn't becoming clear, the movie, through Amy's perceptions, are saying that Amy's religion equals a lack of control over your own life, sadness, and depression, while Angelica and the cutie squad equal freedom and joy. You'll see this idea repeated throughout the film. Then, the next day at school, Amy is introduced to the villains of the movie. Yes, while Amy is receiving her class schedule, the thing that represents giving into authority, society, and following the rules, this is interrupted by the Cutie Squad literally engaged in an act of rebellion by creating a flash freeze mob, much to their teacher's dismay. To be absolutely clear, what's attracting Amy to the Cutie Squad is that they're rebelling from authority and society. The Cutie Squad dressing skanky is a visual indicator that they're rebelling from society's expectations and norms. See how all the other kids are dressed normal? The Cutie Squad is the outlier. They are the exception. They are the rebels. If this is supposed to be a movie about how society's pressing sexualization on these poor unwitting young girls, how come only the Cutie Squad seems to be affected by it? And how can a movie about people rebelling from society claim to be actually critiquing how society encourages kids into engaging in that rebellious behavior?
That don't make no sense.
If society is encouraging you to do something, that's the opposite of rebelling. Next, Amy's doing grocery shopping for her family, and she sees the squad there yelling and being generally obnoxious adolescent children, much to the cashier's dismay. The same contrast is presented to Amy again. Family equals boring, responsible, no control. Cutie Squad equals rebelling from authority, fun, free. Then Amy finds the squad dancing, and they throw rocks at her. Next, Amy steals her cousin's phone. So yes, Amy's only way to see girls dancing skanky is not thrust on her by society, but she steals the device from a family member. You know, stealing, violating societal norms, rebellion. At school, the squad bullies Amy, because they're terrible. However, later, Amy helps Angelica hide from her brother. Angelica stole her brother's clothes, because, you know, she's an asshole. Notice how he's saying he's going to be late to his internship. You know, a thing that helps you be a part of society, and she's trying to prevent that? Next day at school, the squad convinces Amy to try and snap a picture of a boy's dick.
What the hell?
Understandably, he's pretty pissed, no pun intended. So to make it clear, even Amy's school and peers are not reinforcing this behavior. Society is not rewarding Amy, only the squad. Then Amy and Angelica further rebel by going into wife number 2's room, which they're not allowed to go into. Then they jump on the bed and stuff their face with candy. Then there's some very close-up shots of their mouths smacking full with candy, and it was disturbing because I knew somewhere there was a pedo getting off to this. I was just like, why is this in the movie? But then finally, we're shown the very first potential societal pressure to act slutty. Angelica shows Amy their older classmates dancing provocatively, and how it's got a lot of likes from their classmates. Also, one of the underage girls flashes a boob. Whoops. It's amazing that an underage boob is allowed to be showed on Netflix, but the hilarious D&D episode of Community is completely removed because one character dresses up like a drow elf, and the joke is that it looks like blackface. Netflix has some interesting priorities. Next, during a religious service, Amy rebels by ditching Allah and praying to the god of There she uses the stolen phone to watch girls dance skanky. These images of women acting sexually provocative were not thrust on Amy by society. She sought them out on her own in order to gain approval from the squad. Next, Amy's mom gives her the phone when her father's on it. She looks at her mom like, bitch, and drops that shiz out the window.
I rebel.
No consequences for this action are shown.
What are you, a pussy?
The girls go on a chat site to hit up Sid from Ice Age. They hide their identity because they know that society and their peers don't approve of 11-year-old girls engaging in this behavior, because this movie isn't about how society is pushing sexualization on the young girls. One of the girls gets too rebellious, rebels from the group and puts the camera on, exposing Angelica's age and face. And the guy on the other end is like,
No, 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 no!
for her crimes of telling the truth, the girl is banished from the group. They don't have enough to compete in the dance competition. But don't worry, it turns out Amy actually has a Sharingan eye and can perfectly copy any slutty dance move she sees, so she's able to teach Skank Fu to the squad better than they could on their own. Wow, what a Mary Sue, guys!
I find the term sexist.
This sequence has a lot of close-ups of 11-year-olds gyrating their butts sexually. I would argue that if the point of the film was to critique society pushing this kind of behavior on the children, the scene would have to be constructed entirely different, with the girls watching provocative dances on the phone, then emulating them. The camera switching back and forth between the squad dancing and the older girls they're copying, providing a very clear visual indication of what the movie is trying to tell us. However, none of that is in the movie. Instead, it's just a continuous sequence of 11-year-old girls dancing way too sexually. And yes, it does come off as pedobait the way the camera frames the shots. Selection time for the dances come, but
Oh no!
Amy has to prepare a bunch of food for her father's second wife's wedding instead. Family equals lame, no freedom. Cutie squad equals rebellion, fun, freedom. Then she hallucinates the flower on her dress bleeding. Get it? It's like a period.
Symbolism!
Then, in an act of rebellion, Amy ditches her family to join the squad. But she's too late and missed it. Sad Amy heads back home to face Granny. Finally, her family will conflict with her skank dancing. The movie will have some sort of conflict and tension that will maybe make it less boring. Just kidding, we can't actually have that. Amy periods herself, just as the prophecy of the dress foretold, giving her the perfect out and excuse for running away. Conflict is again avoided. Then more dumb stuff happens. The squad is mad at Amy for missing the tryouts. She can't properly explain why she missed it because, you know, it's a movie. Then they sneak into a laser tag place without paying and act like they're 7-year-olds shooting each other with their fingers. What? Is this supposed to be symbolism or something? Anyways, they're caught, and the guy is going to call their parents.
Oh no!
Then the bad guy from Too Many Cooks shows up, and he's going to call the police on them.
Oh my god!
But Amy saves the day by sluttily dancing.
Think I'm gonna be sick.
Creepy pedo becomes enamored by this, and his coworker tells the girls to leave because he's so disgusted by what's happening. To be clear, the girls use their sexuality to disgust someone enough into letting them escape from trouble. So again, society is not supporting their sexualization. The squad finds out they got into the dance competition, so they celebrate by dancing slutty and filming it. Again, it is a disturbing sequence, zooming into other girls' butts and crotches. Now, some people will say, "Yes, Sitch, that's the point, to make you feel uncomfortable." Which, okay, good job, mission accomplished. However, that just means the movie itself is not trying to be pro-pedophilia. That doesn't mean the movie is critiquing how society pushes young girls to sexualize themselves, which was the claim. Amy posts the video on her social media and gets lots of likes from her classmates. If anything, the movie is criticizing youth culture for pushing sexualization on themselves. Wait a minute. Who the hell filmed this? We see Angelica place the phone down on the step, so it should be a static shot of the girls dancing, but the camera zooms in and out and pans around the girls. Maybe you think, well, this is supposed to be in their head, it's not actually happening.
Wrong!
Because we see the video they uploaded to social media has all the zoom-ins and pans, which means The ghost must have been the one filming the girls the whole time. I'm so sorry, movie. You did set up the magical ghost that we see at the end. My bad. More dumb stuff happens, where as per movie guidelines, once the Zero thinks they're a hero, their ego spins out of control and they act like a huge ass. Amy gets into a fight with one of the older girls.
Physical fights, generally not accepted by society. Rebellion.
And in the fight, her pants somehow get pulled down.
You're making me very uncomfortable right now.
And they make fun of her underwear being childish. Weird insult, but okay. One of them takes a picture and shares it around school.
We got him.
Wouldn't the older girl get in trouble for sharing an 11-year-old's panty pic on social media? I feel like in America that'd be some kind of sexual assault. Fucking French. What are you even doing? To combat Underweargate, Amy steals a bunch of money from her mom and buys adult underwear for herself and her friends. But little bro breaks the first rule of mafia money laundering.
Did you hear what I said? Don't buy anything, don't get anything, nothing big. Did you hear what I said? What's the matter with you?
And flaunts the stolen goods before snitching to the popo. And what does mom do when she learns her daughter stole from her? Absolutely nothing.
Come on, grow a pair.
I don't know why, but this movie is allergic to creating tension, conflict, or stakes. Then while serving dinner, Amy's mom faints. But she's like, pfft, whatever, I don't give a fuck.
Which doesn't surprise me because you're a bad person.
But during this crisis, Amy's cousin realizes she stole his phone and takes it back. She then offers him her body in exchange for the phone.
You what?
To which he says,
What the hell is wrong with you?
Amy then bites his hand and hides with his phone in the bathroom. She then decides to take a picture of her vagina and upload it.
What?
At first I thought she was trying to frame the guy by putting underage pics on his phone, but then it turns out that no, she actually uploaded it to her own social media.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
So if I'm to understand this correctly, Amy decided that since people at school were making fun of her underwear being too childish, the way to fix that problem would be to post a picture of her vagina.
This is big brain time.
Yeah, that will show them you're not a stupid kid. Oh wait.
It's the exact opposite of that.
Of course, it totally backfires and all her peers turn on her, really showing how society's pushing sexualization on kids movie. Then finally, when the movie's almost over, her mom blows up on Amy and gives her a little bit of a whooping. But Gran is like, no. What this girl needs is a good old-fashioned exorcism.
Out! Out, you demon!
So they throw some holy water on her and shout the devil out. Amy starts convulsing, which then turns into possessed booty dancing?
Look, oral sex demon!
So yes, if it wasn't clear enough for you, Amy is literally using sexualized dancing to rebel against her family and her religion. The squad then turns on Amy for sullying their good name at school and stop being friends with her. The exorcist shows up and uses his powers to determine that Amy isn't possessed, she's just a hoe.
You are a skanker!
Though surprisingly, he says Amy's mom can leave her husband if she isn't happy with the second marriage. So I guess the religion isn't as oppressive as we thought? Yay? Question mark? Then we find out that the girl who was exorcised from the cutie squad is in the bathroom developing an eating disorder. And the cutie squad has taken her back. Cause you know, they need 4 people for the competition and Amy is out for being a slut. My god, these kids are just the worst. Though it is a good life lesson. When you try to be an asshole to make friends with other assholes, don't be surprised when they treat you like shit. The wedding day has finally arrived, and Amy runs away and dresses in her Skank Squad gear. There she lies in wait for Eating Disorder to walk by.
Let's kill the hole!
Where she shoves her into the canal. Eating Disorder apparently never learned to swim and starts to drown. However, Amy springs into action to help her former friend not die.
Use your head, don't lose it! Now cup your hands downward and move them in a figure 8 motion.
I'm treading water!
You got it! Never play around water alone.
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle. G.I.
Just kidding, she doesn't do crap.
Swim, bitch!
Amy just stands there like a slack-jawed idiot as her former friend almost drowns. She doesn't even attempt to help her in any way. Why am I supposed to like this character again? But fortunately, Eating Disorder finds a buoy and manages to grab on. Which if it wasn't there, I guess she just would have died and Amy would have just continued on her way. My god, Amy, you are just the worst. Amy's almost murder attempt proves successful as she's able to usurp Eating Disorder's place, showing up just in time for the four to be rushed on stage. And finally, the big dance number you've seen in the posters, you've seen in the clips, happens. The 11-year-old girls in the skankwear perform the most sexually provocative dance yet, and everyone in the crowd hates it, boos, and is disturbed by this. Everyone but this one classmate who we saw earlier in the movie creeping on them in the background. So, again, no part of society, except maybe other dumb kids, are promoting or reinforcing this behavior whatsoever. Because their behavior is an act of rebellion from society, not emulation of society. This next part is really important to how bad this movie is, even beyond all the pedo crap. The entire movie has been about Amy's downward spiral and self-destruction. This is plotted out well, in that Amy's motivation for doing all this terrible stuff makes sense for her character in the context of the movie. However, any good writing or plotting is now thrown out the window. Because while we have an entire movie dedicated to Amy's downward character arc, at the very end of it, she reverses and changes her entire character instantly.
For like no reason.
No reason whatsoever.
For no reason. And for no reason?
Because Amy starts to hallucinate.
For no reason.
For no particular reason.
For like no reason.
For no reason whatsoever.
And hears her aunt singing some kind of prayer.
For no reason.
For no reason.
For no reason.
For like no reason.
And this makes Amy cry.
Apparently, for no reason whatsoever.
Which makes Amy decide,
Now, for no reason.
that she's going to run home to mom and change her entire character arc that has been the focal point of this whole movie.
For no damn good reason!
That's what the movie Cuties is, an 86-minute character study of an 11-year-old girl's descent into terribleness that reverses itself and resolves in 20 seconds for absolutely no reason. Get fucked, movie. The end. So, the final verdict. Cuties is not a social commentary about how society's pushing sexualization onto young children, but it's also not pro-pedo. But it also has lots of scenes in it pedos would like. So, I guess it's a wash. If the movie was about how society's infecting young girls with the idea that they need to be slutty, you could at least make the argument that the shocking scenes of the girls dancing, with the camera zooms and pans, is necessary to shake the viewer into action. But that's not the point of the movie. Actually, what the heck is the point of the movie? At first, it seems like a warning message to strict Islamic upbringing and the lack of a positive role model. But the end kind of destroys any potential message. We'll come back to this. If you could remove all the pedo crap, is the movie good or bad? Well, I guess it depends on whether you like artsy independent movies. The film lacks the clear direction or stakes or conflict that drives your standard movie plot. Some people like that. I find it to be the most boring shit on the planet. Your interest in the movie is entirely reliant on whether you're emotionally invested in Amy's character. Personally, I have a pet peeve. I cannot for the life of me stand characters who are stupid. And unfortunately, Amy is portrayed as dumb and devoid of any self-reflection. She has no clue what she wants or why she wants it, and makes no attempt to figure any of this out. Which I assume is normal for most 11-year-olds, and at the end of the movie, she just changes back.
For no reason whatsoever.
This whole comparison between family and friends that they kept bringing up is never shown to be false to Amy. There is never an aha moment where she realizes that the Cutie Squad is terrible. It's Amy that ends up destroying her friendship with them, and it's in this terrible, contrived way. All while Amy never sees her mom take her power back by divorcing her dad, or something that would indicate that she does have control over her life. But since Amy does go back to her mom, even though nothing has changed, the movie essentially becomes about nothing at all. Her entire journey was a waste of time. Nothing is learned. No important or interesting information is gained. So into the trash it goes. That being said, the acting was actually very good. It's unfortunate that it was at the service of such a bland and lackluster story.
And why the fuck are you wasting my 2 precious hours with your movie? I don't have any use for it. I don't have any bloody use for it.